Welcome everyone to Fireside Chat. Last episode, episode 10, Power Words. After this, our next episode will be official season 2. Hopefully everything will
Yep.
be ready, good to go.
Yep.
So we're continue kind of in the theme of talking about words and like speaking. Because the last episode we talked about, let your yes be yes, let your no be no. So
Yep.
what kind of reminded us to kind of do this is just throughout our life, Ethan talked about his moving to Hawaii. Certain things he had to make a choice on, like if he want to, he had to stick to his word. And what it comes to my mind was this Bible study we did when we were still in campus. Shout out to our friend Max. This is the book he referenced to, The Hidden Message in Water. If you can see, I don't know if you have read it. Anybody read this book? It's a, I would say, fairly famous book by, I'm going to butcher his name. I think he's Japanese. Masaru Emoto. I think I'm getting close. Anyway, just a base understanding of basically what we're going to talk about in his experiment in this book. He exposing water samples to various stimuli. Like it could be writing words, it could be music, it could be kind of intentions, which is interesting. Then freezing the water and examining the resulting ice crystal. So basically, once he freezes it, he looked at the ice crystal under a microscope, and he observed that water that are exposed to positive, or more harmonized words like love, gratitude, they form a aesthetically more pleasing symmetrical ice crystal. Controversially, the other side, water who are exposed to negative influence like hate, anger, or form a distortion or they form to this like distorted, incomplete ice crystal structure. He published these findings in the book, like I was just showing, hidden message in water. Kind of reminded us how, just an easy way to think about how powerful our words can be.
Yeah. I think it's something that you don't consider a lot of times is like, oh my, like our words have power. There's a lot of weight behind them. Like we talked about last time, having integrity and, committing to what you do. But even in the things that we say to one another, I know that there's a saying that says that actions speak louder than words. And, I think, obviously there's some truth to that. But at the same time, your words also speak very powerfully. You know, like if you are very mean to somebody and you say something, like you can say some awful things, that hurts a lot. Like, I don't care. I'd rather get punched sometimes than hear someone say they're disappointed in me. You know what I mean? Like that, and in the same way, like, I think even like words of encouragement or words of affirmation, like that means so much to me. And it's harder. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I think like words of power.
I think like oftentimes we perceive things as like when we get hurt, like we think it's a physical pain. I think recent years we have done much better as a society in general, that we start evolving people's emotions and their mental, and not just the physical hurt, not just this kid fell down, but also like what the parents said after they fall down. That can, something hurtful can hurt you 50 years compared to a physical. If you fall down, you scrape your knee, I'll be healed in a week. I mean, in the Bible, obviously we want to relate to the Bible. The Bible reveals, words have immense power. At creation, God spoke the universe to existence. That's Genesis 1. If you haven't read it, please read Genesis 1. And it, that demonstrating their foundational force. And then we're jumping back to the New Testament. Jesus himself identified us, the word, in John 1:1, that embodying of God's ultimate power and revelation. And then, do you have any examples, Ethan? Just kind of like something in the Bible. I know I kind of threw you off the wagon right there.
I think a lot of there's a lot of examples of God making promises and he always keeps them. I know that's, talking about more like being faithful, but I think that's also like he spoke it. Like there's something about a verbal agreement, I think, especially with God, where it's, and God has a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
When he promises something, he always fulfills. I think immediately it comes to mind is, back in Genesis, after he floods the earth, he promises he'll never flood it again, and he never does. And he said, "Hey, look at the sky. That's what the rainbow is." That was says every time you look at a rainbow, that's me fulfilling the promise. I'm not gonna flood the earth again.
Yeah, and there's many poems about it in Proverbs 18:21. A states that death and life are in the power of the tongue, highlighting our words like capacity to build up or destroy someone. Words shape our reality, and reflecting God's creative nature and carrying like lasting consequence. And it's urging us to speak life and truth instead, obviously, to destroy and tear down somebody.
Yeah.
And I think just in like, how do I call this? In like an ideal society, people always talk about, when you look at like a more ideal civilized society in the future, people dream about. They're like, they have debates. That's how they solve issues. They use their words because they recognize the power of words instead of resolve into physical violence or other things, right? Yeah. I think even that aspect that a human does understand the power of words. I think another good scripture is Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, and that it may benefit those who listens. And I think there's a lot in this just one scripture. I think obviously it talks about, hey, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, because it's not going to help anybody. It's not helping yourself, it's not helping anybody. And not only that, it also gives you instruction on how you should build other up. Not only just saying, oh, when somebody, it could be an example. This is dumb, but somebody's parents passed away. You're like, you're so handsome. Yes, you're saying encouraging word, right? You're building somebody up.
I don't need to hear that in this moment right now.
Yeah, but it's not according to their needs.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool about the scripture.
Yeah. That's a part of the scripture I don't think we focus on a lot, too. I think we just focus on, encourage each other and build each other up. Like, I know that's usually when that scripture's brought up, it's usually in that context. But no, that's so true. It's like, you also need to consider, what does this person need right now? I think also, it shows the intentionality of like, I'm going to intentionally love you. That we're called to love one another. And it's like, instead of just being like, just being something generic, like, oh, you're so cool. It's like, okay, I mean, that's nice, but it's like, oh, here's something specifically about you that I appreciate, or this is something I recognize in you that I think is awesome. Instead of just being like, oh yeah, you're cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. It's a lot more than just saying nice words. It's more about personalizing it under you, coming down to whatever they're at, meet them there and giving them the encouragement that they need to help them to continue on their journey, whatever it is. That's why it says a may. That's why the last part says that a may benefit those who listen. And when they say those who listen, in my mind, it's also not just the person you're encouraging, because when you do something, when you say something nice to somebody, other people could hear, and that can encourage them to do something nice too.
I think something I really like about what our church does is whenever it's somebody's birthday, we come together and we, we'll give presents and, we'll get dinner for one another. But I think it's always so special that we make it a point to come together and then share about you know, that individual. Like share things that you've seen them grow in, things that you see them do well in. Just try to encourage them, even give advice to them depending upon what it is. I think that's so awesome, and I think it's a great practice, and I think that is beneficial because you know, I think it's beneficial for other people because I've been in those times where I've been like, you know, I don't really know this person very well, but then hearing everybody else share about this one person, like that's impactful, you know? And then that also is like, oh, like, hey, that's making me remember of a time where like I had a brief interaction with this person, and then I feel like I can check and be like, hey, you know, maybe we've only hung out 2 times, but this is what I noticed in those 2 interactions, and this is like really shows a window into who you are. So I think that's so true. Like it does really help, and I think it's also like that's a way to show like, oh, I have the capacity to encourage too, because I know there's a lot of times where I can feel insecure, and I can be like, I don't think I'm very good with my words. I don't think I'm good at expressing my feelings or good at encouraging it. But it's in moments like that where I'm like, you know, we can all encourage. God's given us all the capacity to encourage one another.
Yeah, and another thing, you know, that kind of reminded me of just this whole topic was just social media too. I mean, it's such a big thing. Just what people sit on there, where people sit online, you know, those online trolls, people can say different things and don't think there's consequences. Then one day people are digging up, when they go to a job interview, to dig up their past. Or like some CEO say something dumb 10 years ago. I'm not saying that there's no grace. Obviously, I think the cancel culture is bad. But I also think we should still watch out what we say. Just because 10 years ago we were young doesn't mean you say that you still meant something.
That's not a good excuse. I mean, you know, you still caused harm back then, even if you changed as I mean, I think again, that's where grace comes in, is you can be like, yeah, you know, that was what I believed then, but that's not who I am now. But you know, it's still like, hey, you still have to be accountable. It's like, hey, I did say that, you know, instead of just being like, oh, that doesn't matter, it's washed water under the bridge. It's like, no, there could be some real consequences to those actions.
And I think people have to own up to those. And I think one main thing understanding grace is that it doesn't undo the wrong you did. It covers it with love, with, you know, obviously grace, with, you know, intention. Like Jesus died for our sin. Doesn't mean our sin didn't happen. It's because what happens, because what we say, it's because what we sin. That's why he died for us. I think that's the main thing to remember, really. Choose your words wisely. It holds a lot of power. And if you see somebody who needs help, and if you feel like you can now help, there's always that old saying: if you can't say anything nice, just don't say anything. All right. Hope you guys have a good week.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Excited for season 2.
Bye-bye.